When I was first ordained, my first year, I was assigned as chaplain to the Philadelphia prison system. And every Sunday we had masses in 3 different prisons, not in a chapel, but in a hall or an auditorium. So it was rather primitive. But I had this wonderful nun who would come every week and lead the singing of the prisoners. It was just wonderful because she really knew how to get the boys going. And the girls. It was a women's prison too. So one day she invited me to her convent, which was the mother house of their community nearby. And I went and I stopped in chapel first. And on my way out of chapel, going to the convent, I turned a corner and there was this life-size statue of Christ seated on a throne with a crown on his head and a scepter in his hand and an orb in the other hand, staring me right in the eyes, real eyes, you know, they had real crystal eyes, scared the daylights out of me. And the more every year when we get to this feast day, I think of that statue and how wrong it was. Because the image of Jesus in the Bible, when he is called king in the Bible, he's being modeled on David, the great king of the Jewish people centuries before. And if you remember, they didn't have a king, but the people said, well, we want a king like everybody else has. So God granted them a king, and the first one was Saul, and he was a disaster because he began to throw his weight around and control people, and eventually he ended up being killed. But then God chose David, the shepherd boy, and he began to lead the people of Israel. He became the model of what a king should be. And that's the king that the kingship of Jesus is modeled on. Jesus is not a tyrant king, he is a shepherd king. He's not pushing his people into battle, he's leading them. Like a shepherd in those parts of the world, they lead sheep there. They don't drive them ahead of them like our shepherds and cowboys do. They lead them so that they never fall into a pit or down a ravine or any place where it's unsafe for them. And that is the model of kingship that is presented to us on this last Sunday of the liturgical year. Next week we begin again with Advent. And for months now we've been reading the Sunday readings as descriptions of what it means to be a disciple of this shepherd king. And so this is like almost graduation Sunday for us who have been studying the model of Jesus all these months. And what we're asked to do as his disciples is to take that model that he has presented us with of ministering to the needs of people and not tyrannizing over them, not criticizing people, but uplifting people, of doing all those things which Jesus did in his 33 few years of showing care for the people of God and not trying to lord it over them. And that's the model for discipleship, that we are sent into the world, we disciples of Jesus, who have met the Good Shepherd and modeled our lives after him, to minister to the needs of our society, of our community, of our culture, which certainly in many ways needs mentoring and leading, because we seem to be going in so many directions which are anti-Christ, anti-God, and not in the way the Creator, the Father, has called us to be. And so as we finish the liturgical year, we're given this model of our teacher, our leader, our king, if you will, our shepherd, and we're asked to model that kind of behavior and thinking and speaking in our own lives. Healing people, not alienating people. Being with people with their suffering, not causing them to suffer. Speaking the words of peace and consolation and not the words of criticism and condemnation. That's the work of the Good Shepherd King is now our work, because he works only with us and through us and in us. And that's the challenge for the rest of our days, to be what we're called to be, the shepherds of our own society, making the Father known to them as Jesus made the Father known to us.